In the super lightweight division, our three judges at ringside are Darby Shirley, Patricia Morse-Jarman, Al Lefkowitz. Our referee for this bout is Tony Weeks. Introducing first, the fighter standing in the blue corner, wearing blue with yellow trim. He weighs in at 138 pounds. He holds a professional record of 27 wins, including 13 wins by knockout, with 23 losses and 5 bouts ending in a draw. From New Orleans, Louisiana, please welcome Emanuel Augustus. And his opponent, standing across the ring in the red corner, wearing black trunks, weighing in at 141 pounds. He holds a professional record of 16 wins, with 14 wins by knockout and no losses. From Tijuana, Mexico, please welcome Alvaro Aguilar.
Here we go. That's it. Okay, gentlemen, you already received your instructions. I've received your instructions on this. Okay, if it goes right here, it's okay. Anything to the rest is going to be low. Mira, aquí está bien, aquí no. Goes right here, anything below that's going to be low. Aquí está bien, aquí no. Keep everything above the waist, de lo centro para arriba. I want a good, clean fight. Yo quiero una pelea limpia. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Escúchame, cuídate, listo, ready, let's go.
Final instructions from referee Tony Weeks in both languages. We're scheduled for 8 rounds. 140-pound action. Alvaro Aguilar is undefeated out of Tijuana, Mexico. He's just 25 years old. In his corner is the very famous Jose Morales, father of some fighters.
Right. In particular,
one named Eric.
One named Eric Morales.
Yeah, and this is Emanuel Augustus that you were telling me about. Lester has a hell of a fight against a very well-known brawler.
Actually, Emanuel Augustus had a hell of a fight against a lot of fighters. He's fought just about everybody in the division. You can see he's 27 and 23 and 5, and those 23 losses probably, I'd probably say guess about 18 of those losses have been against rated contenders. He's fought everybody in the business pretty much, and but in particular, he fought Mickey Ward, 2001 Fight of the Year, where each fighter threw 1,200 punches in the fight. Unbelievable. Still a record on ESPN. And it was a Fight of the Year in all of boxing, and it was an ESPN Friday Night Fight.
I remember that fight.
So if you're looking for the ultimate warrior, veteran warrior, to put your 16-0 fighter in there with, this is the guy, Emanuel Augustus, who some people may know as Emmanuel Burton, no kin to Richard Burton, but certainly a warrior in his own right.
When he was Burton, he gave Mayweather a tough time.
He's giving everybody a tough time.
I mean, he was just getting pounded, and you couldn't get him out of there.
Right. He fought Floyd and gave him a very, very good fight, and that was one of the more difficult fights that Floyd had in his career.
And didn't expect it, really.
No, he really didn't. He just kept trying to impose his will, He's a skilled fighter. It's just amazing he has 23 losses, and I can tell you he's probably got about 5 or 6 losses that he shouldn't have had, that he may have won the fight and lost in very close decisions.
So now that he's not Burton anymore, does he get to start over?
I asked him about changing his name like that, and he said, well, it goes back to his natural father. Name was Augustus, and he wanted to go back and take his father's name, and he had been Burton, his stepfather's name, for many years. And so he finds himself here tonight.
Oh, good left hand. Oh, Aguilar, but Burton, Augustus is hard to get out of there. He'll take a lot of punches. We've seen his act before.
Right, and he's very durable.
Very durable.
He's great experience for a young fighter, 16-0, like Aguilar.
Aguilar's in the black trunks with the white trim, in case you're wondering. Final 20 seconds, round 1 of 8 scheduled. Tony Weeks telling him to keep him up. See, Burton, I keep calling him Burton. Augustus is, he takes a pounding, but then right at the end, he's got good combinations. Chris, he's a sharp fighter.
He's a very good fighter. He's got experience with some of the best in the world. And those losses, really, you have to discount those losses because he's a much better fighter than what his record shows. first round.
I think he did.
Keep moving a little bit more, right?
¿Sale? Sí. Arriba y abajo. Presiona un poco más abajo. Prepáralo de abajo para que lo remeche. Lávalo tantito al agua. Lávalo tantito. ¿Sale?
Está bien así.
Más presión. Este round tengo muy cerrado. Tienes que llevar la iniciativa más constante. Prepáramelo al plexus. Está diferente completamente.
Advice says,
Tírame más el ojo.
take your time. He's telling him to take his time and throw more uppercuts.
He's going to have to be patient. He's got 8 rounds to do it here, but he is going to have to pick up the pace if he's going to start winning these rounds. He's going to have to start putting some rounds in the bank.
Aguilar's in the black trunks. We're scheduled for 8. This is the second round. Augustus in the blue trunks.
Now, one thing you know is going to be the case with a fighter like Aguilar coming out of the gym with Jose Morales, the father of Eric Morales. You know he's going to be in top condition. He's got good sparring. So he's going to be able to stand there and weather any storms that Augustus may put on him here.
He just weathered one right there. He took a shot to the ribs. And as we've emphasized, there's a good right hand over the top. He can't make any mistakes against Emanuel in there because he is a seasoned veteran who's been in against the best, and that's why they put him on these cards, because they like to see him work so hard. He's earned the right to be here.
Well, one of the problems when you put your undefeated fighter in there with a fighter like Augustus, there's nothing to gain and everything to lose. Now, if your fighter can win the fight, he can gain some great experience. But if he loses, which Augustus is certainly capable of beating any fighter that's considered a B fighter or quite not at the world-class level yet. If you lose to a guy like that, then you've all of a sudden got a fighter with a loss on his hands.
Yep. Stock goes down quick.
Exactly. Big difference between being 16-0 and being 17-0 and 16-1. The way the TV people look at it and the boxing world looks at the record.
Aguilar just landed some nice right hands. Now he's getting some combinations off. But it'll take more than that to get Emanuel out of there, because he's been in before. He's seen it before. And you mentioned the Mickey Ward fight. Oh, my goodness. He's going to throw a lot of punches.
Right now, but one of the questions here is what kind of shape is Augustus in? Because I do know that he took the fight on about 10 days' notice. In fact, he had called me looking for a fight 2 weeks ago. So he can't be in too much condition right now, so it's going to be interesting to see how he handles it when he gets down the stretch in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round.
I like the way Aguilar's digging in here. He's showing some power. He's coming forward. He's pretty crisp. About what we expect out of a Morales camp out of North Tijuana.
What I like is his poise, because, you know, he hasn't lost his patience. He's walking Augustus down, and he's taking his time, not getting too big of a hurry. He hasn't panicked because he may have lost the first round. But he just keeps coming forward, and now it's starting to pay off for him.
Yeah, he's throwing some good combinations inside. He threw an uppercut like they were requesting earlier, but you can see that right hand. He's got it cocked and loaded right there.
Oh, yeah. Another thing I like, too, I'm seeing is that you see with very few Mexican fighters, but you do see it from Eric Morales, and I'm sure his father's a teacher. You're seeing that left jab from Aguilar. And when he's using that left jab, it's really effective against Augustus.
Augustus is trying to pick up some points, throwing a lot of punches at the end of the round.
Nada más lleve más la iniciativa, no me lo empuje tanto, tome la distancia, no se preocupe por andar empujando. Hágase un pasito lateral y tíreme unos voladitos.
He's advising him to keep his space, keep his distance, and don't overdo it.
For jab to be effective, he's going to need some room, because if he starts crowding his own punches, he's not going to be effective with them.
Pretty good little jab there, Lester, but not much more to look at.
No, it's I think in that round there that Aguilar came on and won the round, and he's brought the fight to an even status now. So now it'll be interesting to see how he comes into this round, and if he can establish that jab I think he can outbox Augustus here.
Good right hand over the top from Aguilar. Yeah, he needs to. What I like about his jab and the one that Morales throws in his division is that it's a hard jab. It's not a pity pat jab. It's done to inflict damage.
Right, and that's the thing. Everything comes off the jab, especially that right hand. And it looks like he's got a pretty good right hand, but it's much more effective when he does throw the jab.
Augustus, he may have taken it on short notice, but he's pumped up.
Oh, okay.
1, 2, come on, 3, come on, hard. Right there, 2, 3, right there, come on.
Aguilar working the body a little more here.
Augustus is a little dangerous inside because he throws a lot of punches from the inside. He'll throw 3 or 4 pitter-pat punches. They may not be real effective, but they're scoring points. And of course, you know, it's even though you're not knocking the guy, you're not hurting the guy. You're still putting yourself in position to win the fight. So Aguilar's got to be careful. He needs that distance.
Yeah, that's what he's got to be careful of, but he's landed some good combinations right to the head.
That's a big right hand.
Big right hand. Augustus stepping back and trying to stay out of that damage right now. I like the way that Aguilar's cut off the distance, but maintained his effective punches at the end of his throw. Good action here.
He made a mistake there, just laying in there.
Yep.
He's not keeping his distance like his corner told him. And he's paying a price for it. He's making good progress. He was picking Augustus apart in the corner, and then all of a sudden he just started laying in there. That's where he's going to have to correct that, or he's going to be in trouble.
They're scheduled for 8. Aguilar is the undefeated fighter from Tijuana Norte in the black trunks against a savvy, to say the least, veteran of many wars, Emanuel Augustus.
Well, this is a valuable experience for Aguilar. Augustus getting a heck of a fight here. He's actually still in the fight. He's got a chance to win the fight as well, but it looks like that Aguilar's a little bit more skilled and a little bit better boxer.
It'll be a test of his power, too, to see how effective he could be in the 140-pound division, because there's a lot of big punchers out there in that division.
Oh, yeah, he's got a lot of punches in the 140-pound division.
Oh, good right hand.
It doesn't matter what division you're in. If you can't punch and you can't keep the other fighter off of you, you're going to be in trouble. But he punches well enough to keep Emanuel Augustus off of him.
They touch gloves toward the end of that round. Augustus is a guy who really enjoys his business.
You know what? He's one of those guys who loves to fight.
Yeah.
He really is. There's very few fighters that actually enjoy fighting, and he'll fight anybody. He hasn't backed down from anybody. He has no fear.
Let's take a look at a combination from Aguilar here, Lester.
Okay, well, he was laying his body in there, and he had Augustus bent over. He could have came with an uppercut or a right hand.
Yeah, they wanted him to throw that.
Well, what they don't want him to do is just lay in there and not throw punches, because that's where Augustus is effective on the inside. So they want him to keep that distance, and he didn't do it in those cases. He had several chances when he was in close to throw punches, and he didn't do it.
Round 4 scheduled for 8 here at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Emanuel Augustus, who many of you will recognize as Emmanuel Burton, in the blue trunks from New Orleans, Louisiana. And this is his, I think, 65th professional, 66 professional fights he's had.
Right. This is a guy, you know, if he was managed properly, handled like Aguilar, who's now 16-0, Augustus probably would have won a world championship. That's not to say he couldn't down the road, but the problem is he's not going to get the opportunities. Even if he wins this fight here tonight, because he has so many losses, he just doesn't have the marquee value.
Right.
And so his opportunity to win a world championship has probably faded. But that's certainly not the case for Aguilar.
There's a low punch there that Tony Weeks didn't see off the hip of Augustus.
one of the questions on Augustus, too, is all those wars he's been in, how much is he going to have left to fight with once we get past this 4th, 5th, 6th round?
Right, and he's 29 years old. Right hand, that right hand's been pretty effective. There it is again.
Augustus just standing straight up, and he's eating those right hands, and that's a good punch for Aguilar to throw. Just use that jab and drop that right hand down on him.
Good right hand again, solid punch. That one hurt. But you'll notice Augustus takes it and then comes right back.
There's a lot of guys that would have got knocked out with that right hand. That was a huge right hand. And Augustus just stood there and started firing back. That's the kind of fighter. This guy's a professional fighter. They both are, of course, but I'm just praising Augustus because, you know, here's a guy with 23 losses. He could pitch the tent right now taking shots like that, but he keeps fighting back. And this is an incredible experience for Aguilar.
Yeah, Aguilar's learning a lot. He's saying, how much can this guy take? I remember that Mayweather peppered him all night long, and he just kept coming too. That's right.
At some point, you thought Mayweather was going to knock him out throughout the fight, but then Augustus kept coming on. He kept coming on. He won't let you rest. About the time you think you have an advantage on him, here he comes back. He starts kicking your butt.
He's still putting the pressure on. Aguilar's got that look on his face like, what have I got to hit this guy with? And that can get inside your head, too. But I've said, we've seen it so many times from, I think he's got a numb face. That's what I've always guessed.
You know, some fighters just have the ability to take a punch. It's a physiological thing. And it's the way the brain lays a cradle of the skull, as most doctors will tell you, and how much fluid's around and all this kind of stuff. Well, he's one of those lucky ones, like Roberto Duran or somebody. I'm telling you, if the guy had been managed properly along the way, he'd have made a heck of a fighter.
Final seconds, round 4. Aguilar coming on toward the end here.
I'm sensing Aguilar fading a little bit physically. His legs look a little wobbly to me at the end of the round there. I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, he looks kind of tired walking back over there.
He should be tired.
Dale, normalicen esa presión. Vamos, ahí está. Listo. Bien. Ahí está. Dale, dale, va poquita agua. Tírala, aquí, tírala. Ahí está. Ten, pásame la batería. Son 4 rounds.
Let's take a look at that big punch.
Of course, I'm telling him in the corner, he's got to start throwing more right hands. When he does, he's effective. And he's hurting Burton. It's hard to hurt him, but that right hand that he has is capable of hurting him. He's got to throw it more often, but he's got to step in there with that jab first, and then bring it behind the jab. He'll be a lot more effective. Burton's crafty though, man. I'm telling you, he knows how to fall back just enough to miss most of those right hands.
And when he takes the punch, he immediately comes right back. This is round 5, scheduled for 8. You're looking at Alvaro Aguilar from Tijuana, Mexico, with a good undefeated record so far in his career, 14 knockouts. Complaining about a punch behind the ear right there from Emanuel Augustus.
You know, this is the kind of fight when you're bringing a fighter along that's undefeated, it'll drive you crazy. I mean, his corner's got to be thinking, you know, we could be in trouble here. This fight's very close. It could be 3-1. Aguilar could be 2-2. But, you know, that's the kind of fight that it worries you throughout the fight. And Augustus usually fights just well enough to lose to a prospect like this. And I know that corner for Aguilar's got to be hoping that I hope our guy just wins the fight. Right now, it's not about knocking a guy out or anything like that. It's just, let's just make sure we win this fight.
Augustus just hit him right on the chin. And I just think Aguilar's kind of got to land that right.
Actually,
well, here we go. Now he's in a position here. He's going to get hit.
Yeah, he's laying in there, and that's not the thing to do. That's not a very good defensive posture, especially against a guy like Augustus who's going to throw punches at you.
They're letting it go here now. I think Aguilar's getting hit more than he had planned on.
Well, he's creating his own problems here by not using his jab and keeping his distance like his corner told him early in the fight. And now he's having to have a war on the inside, and Burton will beat a lot of fighters on the inside.
Now, you mentioned Aguilar was looking a little wobbly toward the end of that last round. I sense his balance is off a little bit here when he's getting a little bit tired.
Yeah, his legs look a little wobbly to me. You know, he probably hasn't had a lot of fights to go this more than 6 or 8 rounds. Being 16-0, I guess he's had a lot of weak opposition too. So now he's learning what it's like to fight when he's hurt and tired, and he's got a good fighter across from him.
Well, he's where he does not need to be right there. He's getting tagged. I believe it, Emanuel's winning this round.
Yes, he is. There's not many fighters that can in the world that can win a fight on the inside with Emanuel Augustus. Guys at the top of the game can do that, but not a young fighter coming up. He needs to reestablish that jab and reestablish it in a hurry.
Well, he's gone away from it completely. Experience is part of the game, as you know, and there's the jab there, but he's been away from it most of the round. Sometimes they get frustrated, like you said. They haven't gone, he probably hasn't gone many 8-round fights.
Right, and he's gonna learn what it's like to fight late into a fight now, because Augustus is going to stretch him here. He's going to stretch him into the 8-round distance, it looks like.
That's the way now you look like a man. That's the way it is, man. Now you look like a man. That's what we gotta work. Stay close with the guy, but keep moving to your right. Keep moving. Keep moving, all right? Here we go. Here we go. What you gotta do, man? Now you look like that, man. It's close to what you're supposed to do. Come on. That's the way you gotta work. You gotta go forward, stay close to the guy, but keep moving to your right. Right? Keep moving to your fucking right.
You got a bucket right here.
Okay, you see Aguilar laying in there. That's not the thing he wants to do. And as soon as he does that, here comes Augustus throwing punches from all angles, and he's just so effective on the inside. Why Aguilar can't back up and give himself some distance, I don't know. I know his corner keeps telling him that, but he's not doing it.
This is the 6th round, scheduled for 8.
If I were Augustus, I'd put my head on Aguilar's chest, just start pushing him back and fight that whole fight on the inside. He doesn't need distance. If he gives this guy too much distance, he's going to eat those right hands.
He's right, exactly. And Augustus is, he's going to stretch him, as you said. I think he's going to work this guy right down to the wire.
Now the key for Aguilar now is just to win the fight, because he's not going to knock him out. If he's going to knock him out, he probably would have already done that. He's hitting with enough big right hands that a lot of guys would have fallen by now.
Augustus doing a little dancing in the ring now. There's a right hand. He snuck back over. Look at it. He's having fun. He's dancing.
Oh, yeah.
He loves to
That's
fight.
the only dancing he's done, because he's in there fighting the rest of the time. Because with him, it's never about ballroom dancing or anything like that.
No, it's just...
But he like you said earlier, he loves to fight. This is who Emanuel Augustus is. He's a fighter. He's a professional fighter. And he enjoys it, and sometimes he shows in the fight.
That's a good left hand. It almost landed with a nice uppercut. I mean, he's got his hands down. He's throwing from all angles.
Well, he's getting a little too brave here, Augustus is. He's getting ready to start eating some right hands if he's not careful. But he is not scared to trade. And not just with 16-0 fighters. I've seen him do this with top fighter after top fighter. Floyd Mayweather, Mickey Ward, everybody in the business.
He's fought them all, and Aguilar's getting a little boxing lesson right now. When you're up against perhaps the toughest opponent he's faced as a pro, he's got to work through some things, frustration and...
Right, and he looks a little wobbly here. His condition is not holding up the way his corner would like for it to, I don't believe. His legs look a little unstable to me.
They're in the latter part of the 6th round, and Emanuel's best chance is to stretch him. There's a good right hand. He just tough. That's you said he was getting careless, and he got careless there and walked right into it.
Well, he's just forgetting his defense and dropping his hands down to his waist, and he's daring Aguilar to hit him, and that's what's going to happen if he dares him enough.
Now Augustus comes back with the pressure.
This round is anybody's round right now. It's a critical round.
Absolutely.
And for either fighter, it's a critical round, and either guy with a flurry here could possibly win this round, so it's important for one of them to come on here. The problem is if you come on against Augustus, he's going to come on back to you.
That's right.
You don't.
This is anybody's round, as you said.
Just about the time you think you got an advantage on either one of these guys, and the other one comes back.
There's another right hand from Augustus, who's having more fun than he should be allowed.
certainly more fun than Aguilar would like for him to have.
That's right.
Very tough round to score. I don't know how you're going to score that one. That is a very close round. This could potentially be an even fight here.
Estoy portando muy culón, cabrón. Te está quedando bien grande la pinche madre. Se le está dejando toda la pinche iniciativa. La pelea la llevamos perdida, cabrón. No vas a querer que milagros, ¿eh? No te quejes después, cabrón, ¿eh? Son 8 rounds y
Well, they're telling him to fight him now. Earlier in the fight, they were telling him to give himself some distance, and which indicated that they wanted to box him a little bit from the outside. Which anybody who beats Emanuel Augustus, that's the only way to beat him. That's the way you have to beat him. Now Mickey Ward beat him, trading with him like that, but I'm not sure that's good advice in the corner, in my opinion. I think it'd be much more effective to tell him start using that jab, just win these last 2 rounds. It's important for him to win these rounds. He's got to win them.
Round 7 scheduled for 8 from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. And this fight could be very, very close, certainly closer than Aguilar's corner would like. 140-pound action. And this is a learning experience for the young undefeated fighter from the Morales camp in Tijuana.
There's a good chance that he may be learning more from this fight than he's learned his previous 16.
Exactly.
Certainly one lesson he's learned is that Emanuel Augustus is a world-class fighter despite the 23 losses.
Well, you said earlier you thought he might stretch this young man to the full round, and then maybe he could steal it. You know, you don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, it's anybody's fight right now, in my opinion. I mean, it could very well be a 3-3 fight or a 4-2, one way or the other. But these last 2 rounds will tell the tale.
So they were telling Aguilar to go in there and pound away, but
he's not doing it.
He's not doing it.
No, now he's posing. He may be taking a little breather himself. I think he's probably pretty winded, and when a guy's not used to fighting hard, early in a fight like Augustus made him fight hard, it's probably slowed him down some. He's having to pull back some and conserve.
I like watching Emanuel when he gets loose and dances around, and he fires like a cobra right there. Some good effective punches. Good right hand, a good left hand he followed up with. I tell you, Emanuel is working this guy over in this round.
Oh,
nice left hand.
Nice sharp punch.
Another sharp punch.
I tell you what, he looks like a champion out there fighting.
Sure does.
He has no idea that he has 23 losses when he's fighting.
You've seen him many times, and he's sneaking in those quick punches inside. As long as Aguilar is going to stand there for him, he's going to pop him.
He's taking advantage. He sees Aguilar pulling back, and he sees an opportunity, and he's taking the opportunity. Aguilar's got to start connecting here because he's losing this round, and he's on the verge of losing a fight. He's obviously lost some power too. He just doesn't have the same zip in his punches.
Yeah, what Emanuel does to you sometimes is that he gets inside your head, you hit him with everything you have, and the guy won't go down, and then later on you get discouraged. He looks like a discouraged Aguilar's a little discouraged right now. He just got tagged twice, right on the chin.
He's taking some big shots this round. He's taking some real punishment here. One thing he has shown, which is critical for a fighter, is he's got a great chin. Aguilar does himself. It's a very tough fight for a young fighter, 16-0. I'm not sure it was a wise choice from a management standpoint. If he somehow pulls off the fight, then it was a great choice because his fighter has gotten tremendous experience. But if he loses the fight, it's a tough way to losing to a guy with 25 and 23 record. If I'm in either guy's corner right now, I'm telling him you got to win this round.
Last round, man. You know what time it is, baby?
Last round.
You know what time it is, son? Huh? It's 9.
Oh, no, cabrón, entonces ¿a qué vino? Vamos, pásamelo, gracias.
He looks at
Es el último.
You see Augustus just teeing off on him. He is, fighting as hard as you can fight late in the fight, and haven't taken shots that he took early in the fight, to come back like that and still fight hard. and have nothing to gain, really. You're not even fighting a world championship fight. You're not fighting anything for anything other than just pride. And that's his pride coming through time after time.
Final round scheduled for 8, and it could go right down to this round. Alvaro Aguilar is trying to keep his undefeated record in line, and he's in against a veteran, Emanuel Augustus.
And he's in against a good veteran, too.
Very good veteran. Augustus doesn't knock anybody out, but he's been trying. Now they're both letting it loose here.
Well, this could be the round that determines the fight. And Augustus is certainly determined to win this fight, as is Aguilar.
Good combination there from Aguilar. He just ate a right hand and snapped his head back, and the crowd reacted. He's had a big boxing lesson tonight, and maybe in danger of losing his undefeated record.
It'll be interesting to see how the judges treat this, because anytime you have a fighter 16-0, they're scared to give him that first loss in a close fight. They know subconsciously, they may not be thinking it to themselves, but subconsciously, they hate to drop that first loss on a guy 16-0 in a close fight. So I'll be interested in seeing how the fight is scored. I can tell you, Emanuel Augustus had several fights like this that he has lost.
Exactly.
But if I was Aguilar's corner, I would have been expressing my desperation in the corner and telling him, you have to win this round. You go out there and you fight your butt off and win this round. You cannot afford to lose this round.
And against a guy who's had, I think I said 60, this is his 56th professional fight, only 13 knockouts on his record for Augustus. So he stretches fighters.
Well, he doesn't have many knockouts because he fights so many good fighters. He's not knocking out fighters he's not knocking out fighters because they're good fighters. He has very few easy fights on his record to build up a knockout record.
Still throwing good body shots.
Looks like Aguilar's trying to work himself back into this round.
He's getting tagged too.
He just doesn't have the same zip here late in the fight.
Nope. Tough for a young fighter to go that first 8 rounds.
These are 8 hard rounds here, too. There was no round off. Augustus will not let you rest. And he has enough zip on his punches to hurt you throughout the fight. He's really teeing off, Augustus.
Yeah, pretty good right hand there from Aguilar at the end of that. Final 20 seconds of this fight. And it's going to be interesting to see how the judges score it. As Lester was saying, it's tough to pin that first loss on a guy that's coming up, especially when he's taking on someone as a veteran with a record like that. But he looks winded. He's had a rough 8 rounds.
Oh, he really has, man. And I thought he had a chance of winning the fight through the middle rounds. But in my personal opinion, I think Augustus has pulled this fight off. This could be a huge loss. A bigger loss for Aguilar than it is a win for Augustus.
We'll be awaiting the decision and the announcement from Bruce Buffer when they add it all up. I think I agree with what you said about this was a very dangerous fight to take in this fighter's career. Here's some combinations from Augustus.
And here's Augustus fighting the same in the last round as he did throughout the fight. Continue to throw punches, throw punches, throw punches. And he was loading those punches up in this round too. It's like every combination he threw had something heavy on it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Aguilar just couldn't penetrate. He was getting hit with too much coming in.
Too much speed.
He had a nice game plan early on. He was using that left hand, jabbing, throwing good straight right hands. Looked like he even had a chance to hurt Augustus with those right hands if he kept throwing them. But at some point in the fight, he just quit throwing that jab, quit throwing those right hands, and started laying in there and trading on the inside.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecard for decision. Judge Patricia Moore-Sharman scores the bout 77-75. Judge Al Lefkowitz scores it 76-76. And Judge Darby Shirley scores it 76-76. This bout is considered a majority draw.
A majority draw, folks. And I'm not surprised at all. And I know the guy on the right there's got to be greatly disappointed.
Well, I'll tell you what, the guy on the right, Aguilar, should be greatly appreciative because he just escaped a huge potential loss right there.